Good evening. What's that clip from Mad Men? How are you? Not great, Bob! Not great, Bob. uh, good evening, guys. This is Donald from the Yankified podcast. And just to repeat that, not great, Bob. And that is the truth. Um, So, in order for me to continue to crash out, I'm gonna join you guys, and hopefully we can all crash out together and get through this together because this is a rough spring, man. This is as bad as it gets. Now, maybe some news might turn out that it's going to be okay, but let's be honest. The way that spring has been going so far, probably not much to be optimistic about. What is to be optimistic about is the fact we've got plenty of people in the chat already. So I'm going to say a quick hello to y'all in the chat. Got John the Beagle Dad. Hail, guys. Salute to you, man. We got Jonathan early in the chat, as always. Not good news. No, ain't good news, my guy. Not good news. O1 in the chat. Not good news indeed. No. Not great, Bob. Not great. TC Steel. Wonderful. As TC Steels. Yep. Amen. FJ, hello. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hopping in. Jacob Petruzzi, hello. How are you? Horrible news. Not the end of the world, though. Still got a... yeah. Right. I don't think so. I don't think there's much to be hopeful about, I'm afraid. FJ, there must be something in the spring training facility. Dude, shit's going bad, man. Shit's going bad. Going bad fast. So, first of all, before we get into the crux of the matter, the meat of this nightmare that we're living in, I would really appreciate if you guys could do me a solid and hop on over to YouTube and hit that like button. If you guys are new to the channel, you haven't already subbed yet, hit that sub button and come and say hello. You know, give us your thoughts and how you're feeling right now, because this is an opportunity. This is a channel for the fans. Whatever your opinions are, good, bad, or indifferent, hop on, give us your thoughts, and we'll get through this together. I have plenty of thoughts, as you know. This is what this podcast is all about, but this is a podcast for the fans, and I'm looking forward to really getting into this with you guys and talking this over, because I think we're going to have to get through this together. How about that? TC Steele says everyone is made of glass. It's just a nightmare. It's just a nightmare, really. So, yeah, if everybody could hit that like button, hit that sub button, share it out to your friends and family if you haven't already done so. And we want to try and climb up and get those subs up for the season to start. And, what have we got here? We almost got 50 in the chat. That's awesome already. I know you guys have got a lot on your mind. You have to, because this is going wrong fast. So anyway, I do really appreciate everyone who is watching right now, and a big sub up to you guys. We've got Mark Gates in here. Stanton gets replaced by Spencer Jones in the outfield and Judge DH, but the Cole injury is a huge concern. There's no one who can replace him in our team. I think it's early for Spencer Jones, my guy. But you're right about the latter. There's no one who can replace Gerrit Cole. He's like top 5 pitcher in baseball. That's not something you can just replace. That's not what this was about. That's not why you brought in Max Fried. You brought in Max Fried for him to be Gerrit Cole's, 1B. You didn't sign him for him to carry the rotation already. That's really unfair, and you just don't have the depth. You don't have the depth in any facet of this organization right now, and it's extremely concerning. So let's get into this, because we do have some updates here. Anyway, guys, I'm going to take a deep breath here, and we're going to try and get through this, because it ain't good. So I've got the news here regarding. Let's start with Gerrit Cole. Let's start with the Gerrit Cole news, and I'll share the screen out, and yeah, we'll see what the score is here regarding Gerrit Cole. But let's start with this information from Max Goodman. With Gerrit Cole undergoing testing on his elbow, here's an updated list of injuries at Yankee Camp. Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, Luis Gil, DJ LeMahieu, Tyler Madzek, Scott Efros. You can't even say it in one breath. JT Brubaker, Jake Cousins, Clayton Beater, and guess what, guys? We are only about 10 days to 2 weeks in the spring. The season hasn't even started yet. The season hasn't even started yet. Oh, Jesus. It's just unbelievable. How is this possible? So we got cold Italian pizza. Hey man, how are you? Salute to John the Beagle Dad. How is these injuries at this stage? What are they doing? How is everybody hurt? Oh my God. So anyway, let's continue to get into this. We've got more. God bless us. We've got even more to talk about, so let's just do that. The next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the most important thing, the elephant in the room, is Gerrit Cole's elbow discomfort. So, according to Brian Hoke, Cole is concerned about his elbow discomfort, and he's waiting on diagnosis. So, here's a few things out of this. The fact that he's concerned is not a great sign. You kind of hope that your star player isn't that concerned, but if your pitcher's saying that he's concerned, there's probably a reason to be concerned, if you know what I'm saying. Gerrit Cole said he's concerned about the state of his pitching elbow. Oh dear God. And the potential of surgery. Oh dear God. After the right-hander experienced discomfort following a Grapefruit League start on Thursday, which prompted an initial round of diagnostic imaging. We have an initial idea, says Gerrit Cole, but we're going to wait to see exactly what everybody says before we come to our conclusion. None of that sounds positive. None of that sounds positive, guys. I think if the results were clear, I'm pretty sure that he would have mentioned that, or at least say something like, we're not concerned. But the fact that he's saying he is concerned and the results are in, but they're getting a second opinion. I don't feel great about that, I'm afraid. That's not great news. But I'm going to share the screen out. And here we go. It is the second consecutive spring with an injury issue for Cole, who won the 2023 American League Cy Young Award and then was sidelined last year. Less than a year ago, Cole traveled to LA for an additional opinion on his barking elbow, which prompted Dr. Neil Elatrash opined the injury could be rehabbed without surgery. Cole said Saturday that no similar travel has been booked yet. Okay. I've still got some hope, says Cole. Okay. I'm still just waiting for the experts to weigh in. The Yankees have been slammed by injuries. We know this. So just to reemphasize, Gerrit Cole said the imaging of his elbow has already been distributed and he is seeking second opinions. I've still got some hope. I'm just waiting for the experts to weigh in. Right, let's get more into this because there's some more to talk about here. This is just brutal news, guys. This is just brutal. This is just brutal. I'm going through it. I really am. As Cole says here, I've been getting after it since November. The organization and I came up with this plan to mitigate the risks, and I executed it, and he's still hurt. On Thursday, Cole surrendered, obviously, 6 runs. Cole said he had too much horsepower behind his pitches and not enough command. Right. Well, that's the news on that. So, what's your thoughts? Let's get into it. Got my guy Christopher Cancel in the chat. Wow, Donald. Better hope it's not serious, because if it required Tony John surgery, I hate to say it, but it's light out for you guys. Prayers for him. Yeah, you're right, man. Prayers up to him. I want us. I want us to beat him again this year. Right? Absolutely. That's what it's about. Thanks so much for your comment. Um, yeah, well, it is lights out for us if he's injured. Let's be completely transparent about it. It's completely lights out if he's out for the year, because there's just not enough depth. We don't have the offense, and we won't, then if he gets hurt, then we won't have the pitching either. So yeah, I'm not going to try and paint it otherwise. And you know what's interesting here is that further to that article. Clark Schmidt sounded very worried too. What did he say about Gerrit Cole? There's no way to sugarcoat this. He's a top of the league guy and has been an ace in this league for a long, long time. He'll be missed if it's something longer term. I think we've just got to pick him up as a staff. Now, if you're reading the tea leaves, guys, does any of that sound like he's due back anytime soon? Just reading the tea leaves. This is brutal. This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. Now, I don't really blame the Gerrit Cole situation on the Yankees. There's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, I've read some people saying maybe Boone shouldn't have pushed him so hard in that last spring training start. I'm not going to blame Boone for that. Although, personally, would I have had him come out that second time? No, I wouldn't have done that. I don't think that was necessarily the smartest way, but I know they're trying to ramp up his innings before the end of spring, but it just felt like it was a little too early for me. I wouldn't have done that, but that's not even Monday morning quarterback, because I said that at the time while I was watching the game. I was like, oh, don't bring him back. He's already thrown enough. But do I know if that caused the injury or not? No, I don't know. We don't know those kind of things. So I'm not going to go and use this platform to go after Aaron Boone on that. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. This is obviously something that Gerrit Cole's been dealing with, and that's it. This is brutal. This is brutal. So we've got the Gerrit Cole stuff. And it's hard to put into words because it's really brutal. So everybody gives your thoughts, and we're going to try and mitigate this. So let's talk about what we're going to do without Gerrit Cole in the meantime. So obviously you'll be looking at Max Fried being promoted to number one starter. Then you'll probably be looking at Marcus Stroman having an automatic place in the rotation. Yeah. Great. That's just fantastic. Wonderful. Beautiful. Great. Then, Clark Schmidt, who hasn't thrown an inning in spring, he'd be penciled in as your, what would you say, our third starter? Good God, this is getting rough. Because Luis Gil's out until June, July. Good God. So what's the rotation going to be? I'm going to be sick. It's going to be Max Fried leading opening day. Number 2, you're probably looking at dear God. That's all I've got to say. Dear God. Maybe Will Warren. Third starter Clark Schmidt, who hasn't thrown a pitch yet. You got Marcus Stroman, who's pitched like ass in spring training so far. Yeah, that's great. Maybe Cookie Carrasco. Yeah, wonderful. This is just wonderful. John the Beagle Dad says we go from a nasty rotation to oh dear God, oh dear God. Cold Italian Peaches says mentioned this to NFE earlier. I think it was a mistake re-signing Cole after he opted out. They should let him walk. I mean, dude, you can't. We can't do Monday morning quarterback for that. I mean, the guy was amazing in the World Series. He only gave it one earned run. Um, no one knew that this was going to happen. So I'm not going to play that game. I can go after the Yankees for their decision making regarding this offense and their lack of mitigation for injuries, and that's what I'm going to do for much of this podcast. I'm going to absolutely put them on blast. Don't you worry. That's coming, guys. So those in chat, just get ready because I'm going to put the Yankees in the blender in a minute. But regarding Gerrit Cole, I can't really blame them, other than I probably wouldn't have had him come out for that second time in that last start. But again, I'm not going to say that caused the injury or not, because that would be unfair to do so without more information. So I'm not going to do that. Just my personal opinion, I would have preferred to wrap them up in cotton wool. But he's your ace. He won you a Cy Young, and he only gave it one earned run in the World Series. He was freaking phenomenal. That would be a really bad look if they let Juan Soto go and Gerrit Cole go in one offseason. Losing Soto's bad enough, but then to lose Gerrit Cole as well, I mean, you got to sell something to your fan base. So I'm not going to play that game, I'm afraid. They gambled, and right now it's not great. So what can you say? This year looks like it's going to be. This year doesn't look good, man. Let's be honest. This might be a 2026 situation that we're looking at. John the Beagle Dad looks like he's ready to throw up, and yeah, I'm gonna. I'm not far away, man. I'm not far away. But yeah, so let's look at this rotation, guys. What are we gonna do? Marcus Stroman's penciled in as your third starter. Clark Schmidt, Max Fried, the Little Sisters of the Poor, maybe Ron Guidry out of retirement, Andy Pettit. Hey, maybe bring Roger Clemens out of retirement. I don't know. What are they going to do? They have no money. Thanks to Hal Steinbrenner and his budget. But what I said in the last podcast, I was like, the Yankees can't really make a move right now because they don't know what their biggest issue is. And one day to the next, the news is getting worse. The news isn't getting better one day to the next. It's actually getting worse one day to the next. So what are the Yankees going to do? So now you have to go and acquire another starter, plus you have to go and acquire another righty power bat. That's a lot. That's a lot. And not just any old bat. And not just any old starter, but literally like top of the line bats and top of the line starters. That kind of shit isn't available in spring training. It's just brutal. John the Beagle Dad says surrender. He's already waving the white flag. I'm glad I don't have visual access to the games. My TV would not survive, bro. I'm happy for you. Unfortunately, I do. So I think there's a strong chance my television's gonna have a few things thrown at it, and maybe you'll have another meltdown. For those who didn't watch, I did have a meltdown when Juan Soto signed for the Mets. I literally chopped up his Mike Soto jersey on screen. So maybe if the season continues to go as I think, then you'll maybe get another couple more meltdowns from me. Jesus Christ. So anyway, to cheer me up, guys, I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button. Let's hit that like button. Let's share it out. Let's get more people in the chat. Let's get more people's opinion here, because I know you guys have got a lot to say, and I'm here to to share and wallow in each other's misery from the looks of things right now. But I got to cook the Yankees on a few things, man. I got to cook the Yankees on a few things. So yeah, let's get into the next thing here, because it's not just the Gerrit Cole thing that pisses me off, right? It's also this stuff regarding Big G, and there is no excuse for this. This whole Stanton thing is mind-boggling to me. Oh, got another person in chat. Good to see you in the chat, Doran. Stay positive. No. No. Not yet, man. I need that reason to be positive. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's get into the Big G stuff, because this stuff really makes me mad. All right, okay. So Stanton's in for a third round of platelet-rich plasma injections. Third round. Gets worse. If that wasn't bad enough, that the first two didn't take, now he needs to go for a third. He said his tendon injuries are considered severe in both elbows. Right, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. Severe in both elbows, which he attributes to bat adjustments from last season. The Yankees' designated hitter said he is unsure when he can resume baseball activities. Great. Fabulous. Stanton returned to camp 11 days in New York to deal with a personal matter, which he said is in the process of being resolved. Don't know what that means. Stanton says, let's finish the treatment and go from there. I absolutely hate this. I'm going to get back as soon as possible. I love you, G. Please come back. Stan has said he was playing through pain. This is where the math ain't mathing. This is why I need the chat to help me out here. Stan has said he was playing through pain in both elbows for most of last season, including during the playoffs, when he earned MVP honors by hitting 4 home runs in the ALCS. He has been attempting what he called an quote-unquote interesting course of treatment in hopes of avoiding issue. Who is our medical staff? Which Stanton said would be season-ending. If there's surgery, Stanton said it would be season-ending. Here's where it gets worse. If that wasn't bad enough, right? The 3 plasma injections that haven't taken, the fact that they've known about this basically all last year, and he's been attempting what's called an quote-unquote interesting course of treatment. Is this interesting course of treatment recommended by this dreadful Yankee medical staff that gets nobody healthy in the hopes of avoiding surgery? Why are we at this stage now? But here's where it gets worse. He lacks grip strength and is having trouble picking things up in day-to-day life. So forget a bat. Forget hitting baseballs 120 mile an hour out of a ballpark. That dude can't pick anything up right now in day-to-day life. His elbows are so shot, he can't pick shit up right now. Tell me why I'm supposed to be positive? I'm going to get to a point of pain tolerance and go from there. So he's not even at the stage where he can get to a point of pain tolerance. He's currently at the moment where in March, a couple of weeks before the season starts, and he's not even at the stage where he can even tolerate this pain. And here's where it gets worse. With no set timeline for Stanton's return, manager Aaron Boone has suggested the Yankees' India House DH options would be Ben Rice, Dom Smith, J.C. Escara, and Everson Pereira. Good night. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Jesus Christ. Whew. Great. Well, that's superb, guys. So, for me, the math ain't mathin'. Do you know why the math ain't mathin'? The Yankees knew about this since last year. If the Yankees knew about this since last year, how could they possibly be this negligent and allow him to go through the entire offseason, 4 months, and not check in on this? Is anybody else in the chat picking up on this? That the math is not mathing. If the Yankees knew about his injury during the playoffs, why did they not make a contingency plan during the offseason in order to mitigate risk? Am I the only one thinking this? I can't be. So give your thoughts in the chat, but I cannot be the only one thinking this right now. It doesn't make sense. And if you guys listen to Brian Cashman, he said that they thought that he was on top of it and it was okay, and then he picked up a bat and it turned out he wasn't. The math isn't mathing, as they say. Jay Snow is not a good run organization under Cashman. I don't know who's to blame here. Jay Snow, because they're run terribly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. If I was the Yankee general manager, the first thing I would have done at the end of the season, while everyone's packing up their lockers and leaving to go on their vacation to Hawaii or wherever the hell they go, I take Stanton aside and go, bro, thank you so much for what you did in the postseason. We couldn't have gotten to the World Series without you. You're going to get a month off, right? Take 4 weeks off, whatever you need to do, take those 4 weeks off. Don't pick up a bat, chill, right? But December 1st, I want you to check in with me and tell me how you're feeling. I want you to pick things up and I want you to try and swing a bat. If you cannot swing a bat, I need to know about this now in December so I can plan ahead for the season ahead. That's what I would do as a general manager. Do I sound insane for saying that? Because that sounds to me like good business, right? Because I'd be like, dude, we need you. Because right now it looks like we're not going to bring back Juan Soto. So we really need you this year in order to make up for the offense lost and in order to support Aaron Judge. Plus, it doesn't look like the bats are available in free agency that we need. So with that in mind, we really need you. So if you could tell me in December if you're okay or not, then we can plan ahead, right? If you cannot pick up a bat and you cannot swing a bat in December, please tell me so we can get these procedures done now. And then if needed, we'll get you a surgery, 4 months, and you could be back by April, May. That's logical. That's logical. Chase, no. Yes, you're insane because that's logical. It's not insane. That's why Cashman wouldn't do it. Exactly, man. Thank you. I just can't believe it. I'm just thinking, wait, so they've known about this in October and they've just left it. And then I'm reading the article and Stan says he picked up a bat end of January and we didn't know about it because he couldn't do it. Let me see if I can find that bit in the article. Because he said that he tried to pick up a bat in January and wasn't able to do it. Then why didn't we know about it? Again, the math isn't mathing and things are murky now. Here we go. Yep, I found it. Right, I'm gonna get that shared. I'm gonna get that shared out because this again shows me that this organization and the player are not connected, and the organization are lying. Right. Here's the bit I want to highlight. Stanton had 2 rounds of PRP treatments to address the issue that has kept him from swinging a bat since mid-January. There it is. In print. Mid-January. Did any of you guys not pick up the fact that Brian Cashman said that they only found out in spring? Someone's lying. Something is not adding up. And I'm getting to the bottom of this shit because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The Yankees are running this thing like it's a fucking mom and pop store. What are we doing here? Stanton is the least of the Yankees' problems, Donald. Dude, I think he's a big part of the problems. I love Big G, but no, what I'm saying is this whole organization, the way they look after injuries is a big problem. So I don't understand. So I really did Stan pick up a bat mid-January, say he couldn't do it and didn't tell the Yankees? Or did the Yankees know about it and then just decide to leave it until the end of February? That's what I'm saying. Why am I one of the only people picking up on the lack of logic? What is going on? Seasons are at stake here. I don't trust this organization. I don't trust what they say. I really don't. I really don't trust what is going on. Let's I want to get to that point where, because I know that Gerrit, I know that Brian Cashman spoke regarding this Stanton issue, and although I can't get the audio up because I will get get this taken off of YouTube, but at least I can get to the point where we can figure out exactly what he said, because I know that he said that they only just picked up on this matter now, as of early in spring. That doesn't necessarily ring true if Stan says that he couldn't pick up a bat in mid-January. Did he not tell the Yankees? And then it gets worse. I mean, what about this DJ LeMahieu thing? Brian Cashman said, "Oh, rest and recover. He's going to be down for a period of time." On the Yankees' plan at third base, he said Booney will play with what he's got. What does he have? We don't have anything. So it's not just one. It's not just Stanton. This DJ LeMahieu stuff is ridiculous too. This organization is a mess. This organization is a complete flaming train wreck. And you guys are going to need the truth, because I know that they're going to sell you a whole lot of PR, and then they're going to try and excuse this. There is no excusing this. This is not anything to excuse. Do you know why none of this is excusable? So this DJ LeMahieu situation. Brian Cashman tried to DFA him during the year last year. Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo went to bat for DJ LeMahieu and kept him on the roster for God knows what reason. Vibes, I assume. Okay? So they kept him on this roster, right? Then we get to the offseason. Suddenly, he's now our third baseman. Even though the Yankees wanted to DFA him, even though he was beyond awful and injured, the Yankees did nothing about third base. And he was penciled in as our third baseman. And did nothing. Literally nothing. Let John Birdie go. Didn't pick up his option. Let him go. Said that third base was going to be between Oswaldo Cabrera, Peraza, and DJ LeMahieu. Okay. Why is DJ part of these plans? Because Aaron Judge told you? What's the reason for this? Because if you thought that he couldn't do it and you needed to DFA him, why is he still on this roster? But you left it. You did nothing. You didn't address third base. He swings a bat for one spring training game and gets injured again. And then Brian Cashman has the unmitigated gall to say, well, Aaron Boone's going to have to play with what he's got. What's going on with this organization, and why is not enough people going after them for this? This is shameful. You cannot plan for seasons like this. Now you got the Stanton stuff. They knew that Stanton was hurt since October, and they chose to sit on their hands. And if Stanton chose to not tell the organization that he couldn't pick up a bat in January, that's on him too. But I say it's mostly on the Yankees, because the Yankees should be following up on their asset. But they did nothing. They sat on their hands and pretending that they're surprised. They're pretending that they're surprised because they knew all about it. You can't fool me, bro. They can't fool me, because I've been watching them since God knows when, and I've been following their excuses since 2018. And they have an absolute laundry list of excuses since 2018. So I'm now very much got a degree in their bullshit. And so I'm not going to let them off with this. This is stupid. How could they possibly allow this situation to get to this point with Big G? Get ahead of it in the off season. Get a procedure done in December. Heck, get a procedure done in January. Maybe he'll lob off a month or two in the season, but at least he'll be there. But to just do this is a horrible mismanagement, complete malpractice, total malpractice. So the way that they handled the Stanton injury is malpractice, but also the fact that they don't have a backup to him and a righty power bat to lengthen this lineup, and they didn't address that in the offseason, fully knowing that Stanton is injured, that is also malpractice. Complete malpractice, guys. Absolutely unacceptable. Doran says trading for Arenado would block Lombard for 2026. I love Lombard. I don't know with this Arenado situation. I'm not convinced that the Yankees actually want him. Because if you read the tea leaves, the Yankees are apparently out of loot, according to multiple sources. Out of loot. Thanks, Hal. You know what, Hal? If you're out of loot, maybe I'll consider that I may be out of loot regarding Yankee merchandise and tickets this year. How about that? I know you don't give a shit, but if there's enough people that do, then maybe it will filter through to Hal Steinbrenner that, you shouldn't have a self-imposed budget. Probably after losing a World Series, and then losing, one of your best players, if not your best player, maybe that would be quite good if you kind of stopped that shit and allow Brian Cashman to fully go and attack all the needs without a self-imposed budget, and then lie a couple of weeks ago and say that he didn't have a budget when he clearly does. I'm not letting them away with this, man. Doran says the safe play would be to DH Judge. Yeah, it makes sense, but so yeah, you could be looking at. But again, if you do that, then what do you want Grisham to play every day in the outfield? The Yankees need a righty stick. John Bazzini, the Yankees should start a dead money club. Will lead to Major League Baseball. Right. Pereira. Yeah, he looks okay. I don't know if he's ready yet. Ben Rice might be further along. But the Yankees need another righty bat. And according to Bill Madden from the New York Daily News, he says that the Yankees are on the hunt and Brian Cashman is on the hunt for a righty bat. I'm just going to share that screen with you guys so you know that I am giving you all the information that y'all need. Let's get this information up. Here we go. This is the situation. Brian Cashman is on the hunt for a right-handed bat, according to Bill Madden. Interestingly, neither J.D. Martinez nor Nolan Arenado are being heavily considered. Who would this righty power bat be? So give us your thoughts in the chat, guys. We've got almost 120 people in the chat, and I doubt there's 120 likes. So first things first, hit that like button. Let's get those likes up. If you're watching on YouTube, hop on over if you're watching on X, hop on over to YouTube, hit that like button. And also, give me your thoughts in the chat. Who do you think this bat will be that Brian Cashman is hunting for? And is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because with this Gerrit Cole news, is it worth it? FJ says, does that mean that Cashman is dumpster diving for a righty bat? Almost certainly. It almost certainly means that, FJ. So let's think of which bat it's going to be. I actually don't know. We need to see who's available. It might be a case that we're waiting a couple of weeks. John Mazzini says, yeah, they'll turn Joey Gallo into a right-handed hitter. That would be a Yankee move. Yeah, another similar Yankee move would be maybe bring, what do you think, Matt Carpenter back? Bring Matty Ice back? I could see them doing something like that. I could definitely see them doing an IKF. I can almost certainly see an IKF. I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be a great bat. What are you expecting? It's spring training. I can see the Yankees trying to get a rise from San Diego, DH and Goldsmith. I would love a raise. I would love a rise. I think it's great. It will hit you a soft 320, but at least I'll get a 320 batting average. DH and Goldschmidt, I don't see them necessarily DH and Goldschmidt because he's a better first baseman than Arise, but maybe DH Arise because that dude can't hit. He can't field, but he can hit. But he doesn't have any slug, and the Yankees need slug. But I do like Arise, but the Yankees need slug, man. They don't have any slug from the right side. They really don't. And that's another thing. Because there's an absolute litany of problems with this Yankee roster. And it just, it's just mind-blowing that they're at this stage, I mean, if you think about this Gerrit Cole situation, if we're in a need to get another starter, what are they going to do? Are they literally going to go to teams trying to get one of their best starters off them without giving up any of your top prospects? And by the way, our farm system is currently rated 24th in the league. And you don't want to give up our star prospects for what's possibly going to be a lost season. Lombard, you don't want to move him. He looks phenomenal. Spencer Jones looks freaking amazing. You don't want to move those guys. Will Warren is already penciled in as like a third starter. What are you going to do? Because let's be honest, the Yankees now have zero leverage in negotiations. I need to emphasize very clearly and precisely zero leverage. They have zero leverage in negotiations right now. Not just in the pitching market, but offense as well. They have zero leverage in negotiations. None. Dude, if they can't trade off Marcus Stroman right now, what is their hopes of landing a top-of-the-line starter via trade and a top-of-the-line righty bat in spring training? This is why you don't do this stuff now. This is why you need to attack your needs in the winter. Now, you can't mitigate for a Gerrit Cole injury. I understand. I get that. But you can certainly strengthen the depth. But offensively, that's where I have the major issues. Because none of this stuff on offense is a surprise. And it just seems like it's just slapped the Yankees around the face and they're like, oh shit, where did that come from? I can tell you where it came from. Your own bad decision making. And it's been poor decision making that has been years in the making. You can go back to previous trade deadlines where the Yankees have made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And it's now snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And now you're at this stage now where we have no depth. And we're praying for people not to get injured. And that's because of the Yankees' really poor decision making. Okay, Ken says, I'm hearing that Kevin Pillar is not going to make the MLB roster with the White Sox, and the Yankees are looking into him. Thank you, Ken. Ken, once again, star of the show. Let's have a look and see. While for some reason my TV's just turned itself on. I'm going to turn that off right now. Well, that was great. Yeah, my TV just turned itself on. Right, let's have a look at this Kevin Pillar situation. That's an interesting one, Ken. Thank you for that. I wouldn't be surprised. This definitely sounds like a Brian Cashman type of move. Okay, Kevin Pillar. Yeah, this definitely looks like a Brian Cashman type move. Okay, 2024. He's having an awful spring, batting 160 with 8 strikeouts and 25 at-bats. So that's like a third of your at-bats you're striking out. And let's see, last year he had a rough year as well, batting 236 with just 41 RBIs. And 2023, not much better, bat 228 with 32 RBIs. Had a cup of coffee with the Dodgers in 2022. Bat 083. 2021 with the Mutts, 47 ribs and 231. So he has been cooked for about 4 years. Yeah, this definitely sounds like a Yankee move. This definitely sounds like a Yankee move. Kevin Pillar has been absolutely cooked for the last 4 years. Yeah, this definitely sounds like a Yankee move. But what other options are there? The Yankee situation is a mess, and it's an embarrassment. This is supposed to be a team that's trying to get to the World Series, and they're looking at a 36-year-old who hasn't had more than 47 RBIs in the last 6 years. That's fab. That's fab. That's freaking fab. He hasn't hit his weight since 2020. Great. Well, let's hope that's not true. Let's hope we can do a little better than Kevin Pillar. What a mess, man. What a mess. But let's continue to follow these mistakes, because this is how Doran says on a minor league deal I would sign next to anyone. But should the Yankees be in this position, Doran? Let's be honest. Should they really be in this position? No risk there. Yeah, there's no risk, but should the Yankees be in this position? No, the Yankees should not be in this position. This is a team that's trying to get back to the World Series. The other player the Yankees are looking into is Dylan Moore of the Mariners as a shortstop. He's a solid infielder, but hits like crap. Great. Right, let's do this. Let's follow this one. Ken, you're a star. I really hope none of this is true, because this is another guy who's complete ass. But I did say IKF, and is Dylan Moore that much of a difference? Yeah, 201. Batting average, 10 homers, 42 ribbies. That's just super. That's just superb. Super. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, last year he did have 32 stolen bases. His OPS is below average at 687. OPS plus of 104, which is still actually not that bad. It's above average. On base percentage of 320. That's still not very good. He is versatile outfielder, second baseman, and shortstop. Bat 201 last year. A WAR of 2.2, which is, on my maths, about 3.8 WAR better than DJ LeMahieu. Do you know what? That's probably the best option. Doran, Stauber, truthfully, Perez and Cabrera are better options. Yeah, I agree. IKF is a step up. I can't believe we're at a situation now where IKF would actually be a step up for this team, even though he wasn't good enough 2-3 years ago. But this is what we're in. And it's absolutely shameful that there's this many holes in this roster. And we're only a week in the spring. We don't know who we're going to send out opening day. We don't even know what kind of lineup we're going to have. And this is only 2 weeks in the spring. The season hasn't even started yet. A lot of injuries happening during the regular season. I'm sorry, guys. This is a mess. This is a complete mess. Just a total train wreck of an off season. And everyone was saying, "Oh, this is an A+ off season. This is an A off season. This is great." And I was looking at this going, "This is a house of cards. This is a Jenga tower roster. A couple of injuries, and this whole Jenga tower falls down." And that's what's happening. Daron, Jason left field, Bellinger center field, Judge right field, Grisham, Perez backup outfielders solid. Goldschmidt, Volpe, Chisholm, and Wells is solid. All right. Duran is positive. I can't share your optimism, I'm afraid. I can't share your optimism, I'm afraid. The reason why I can't share that optimism is who's getting on base on this team? And where's this righty slug on this team? Like, where is it? Where's the Yankees righty slug coming from? Bellinger. He's probably your second best hitter right now. Now that Stanton's out, he's a lefty. Okay, you got Judge righty. Who else? Jason's better from the left side. Goldschmidt, maybe get you 20 home runs, maybe. Volpe can't hit right now. He needs to learn how to hit. Chisholm, he's not giving you power from the right side. Wells, he's a lefty. You got lefty bats. There's no righty bats. How could the Yankees go into a season without enough righty bats? Ken says Wells may. Oh no, Wells is probably going to be your third best hitter. In fact, I think he's probably going to be a leadoff hitter, and I don't hate that idea. But there's a lack of depth on this roster. Rice, in my opinion, is going to bust out this year. Yeah, maybe. I actually quite like Rice. I think offensively he's pretty good. But you can't look at that roster and say this is a roster that's going to go anywhere in the playoffs. At the moment, I think the Yankees would be very, very lucky if they win 88, 89 games and get knocked out in the first round of the wild card. At the moment, I would say that the way this is looking, would probably be a success for them because this is a mess. What a mess. Is there any status about Schmidt? Yeah, there is. I think their plan for Schmidt. I actually did read this. I believe their plan for Schmidt is not to actually throw in spring, and he's going to do some like side activities, and then have him ready for opening day. Well, having on the opening day roster, I should say. I think that's what their plan is regarding him. So it says here Clark Schmidt is lined up to start the 6th game of the season. He will stay back in Tampa and throw live on the off days after the opening day before rejoining Yankees per Boone. But that was originally with Gerrit Cole due to start games 1 and 5. But they can't do that now. So I don't know what their plan is regarding that. Maybe they accelerate that, but that's apparently the plan. John Mazzini says too many maybes and what ifs for the Yanks in 2025. Yeah, let's follow that. If Gerrit Cole is even out for, say, the same amount of time as Luis Gil, and that would be very lucky because it looks like it's probably going to be surgery. But even if best case scenario, he's back in June along with Gil, between end of March to June, Yankees rotation will be Fried, Will Warren, Marcus Stroman, who looks bad, Clark Schmidt, who's currently injured, and then Cookie Carrasco. Ken says Cam Schlittler. I mean, I do quite like Cam Schlittler, but this is scraping the barrel. And that's it. That's not great. That's not great. Plus, we were trying to trade Marcus Stroman. I guess he's off the trade block now. Marcus Stroman can't even clear 88 miles an hour in the gun right now. I don't know what they're expecting him to do. This is a mess. Total mess. Now, let's look at this offense. Austin Wells, I like. Cody Bellinger, I like. Jason Dominguez, I like. But, he has a lot to work on right now. We haven't seen enough of him yet. Obviously, we've got Judge. Have to wrap him up in cotton wool. Third base, I love Peraza. The Yankees don't. And there's no power from third base at all. None. Zero. Shortstop, there's no power coming from shortstop at all. Got Jazz. We like Jazz. Goldschmidt is touching 40. We're hoping that he has a comeback year after a below average year last year. I think he'll be okay. That's about it. DH situation, you're looking at Ben Rice and Dom Smith. Yeah, that's not winning you any division. Cold Italian Pizza says Rodon. Yeah, I've been trying to forget about Rodon, man. Yeah, Rodon's probably going to be in the rotation. Yeah, of course he will. It's not great, guys. It's not great. Doran says, I'm not against Monty coming back. I'm not against that either, to be fair. I would do that, but Hal's got a budget. Hal's going to have to completely just eliminate this budget and hope for the best. But we got to find out what's going to happen. But, there's so many things here that you can pinpoint as to my frustrations with the Yankees. And I think my biggest frustration with the Yankees is how they handled last year. I would go as far as to say it was organizational malpractice. Last season, I felt was organizational malpractice, right? And some of you guys are going to be like, how could you say that? They made the World Series. Right. Did they put themselves in the best position to succeed going into that World Series? The answer is unequivocally no. Here's why. You're going into the July deadline knowing fine that you're probably a starter short. You're certainly a couple of bullpen arms short. And you're getting nothing out of first base and you're getting nothing out of left field. And you're getting nothing out of third base. Okay? And your entire roster is throwing the ball all over the field. They have no idea what they're doing. That was what was going on last year. Right? Guess who was covering up for all that shit? Juan Soto. Soto was covering up for all that shit because he was having a ridiculously good season. Same with Aaron Judge. You have a window, and I kept beating this drum all year on the Pinstripe Chronicles. I kept beating that drum. I was like, you have this window. You are not guaranteed next year. You have this window. Take advantage of this window. You've got Juan Soto and you've got Aaron Judge giving you 100 home runs combined. And you've got them driving in 250 RBIs plus combined. Guaranteed for this year. You've got Stanton healthy enough to play effectively. You're not guaranteed that next year. You got Gerrit Cole on his bulky elbow pitching out of his mind. You are not guaranteed that next year. We have 3 substandard positions that are being covered up by 2 otherworldly superstars. Do something about it. Do something about it in July while you still have a chance. While you have a shot at this window to win a world championship, and then let the dice roll as it will in the off season. But at least if you put yourself in the best position to succeed and the Yankees win a world championship, then none of us will be that upset at the state of this right now had they planned and really attacked that window in July. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they did not do nearly enough at the trade deadline, and it was a huge letdown. Especially, they allowed themselves to get outbid by the Dodgers, who's your competition for the championship, for a bunch of the players that you wanted. The Yankees like Tommy Edman. The Dodgers got him. The Yankees really like Kopech. The Dodgers got him. The Yankees really like Jack Flaherty. In fact, had a deal in place for him, backed out due to an imaginary injury. Dodgers got him. All three of them helped the Dodgers win a championship. The Yankees' only move was Jazz Chisholm. That was a great move. The only problem with that move is they allowed someone that they had no interest in re-signing in Gleyber Torres to hold them hostage in the infield, and move Jazz Chisholm out of position to play third in order to satisfy Gleyber Torres, who they had no intention of keeping. That didn't really help their infield. Did they attack left field? Did they get a left field upgrade over Verdugo? No. Did they get a first base upgrade over Anthony Rizzo, who clearly was cooked? No. They didn't take advantage of that window. It was a huge mistake. And that's what's really frustrating. Because had the Yankees landed, say, a Tony Edman, then the situation would possibly be different. Had the Yankees landed a Jack Flaherty and didn't back out of the trade deal, then maybe the situation would be entirely different. Had they gotten Kopech instead of that Mark Leiter Jr. deal, at least you'd have a better reliever that might have been able to pitch in that vital game one, which decided the series. It's a lesson. It's a lesson for the Yankees. It's a lesson for organizations. It's a lesson to the fans. If you were lucky enough to have a window to win a championship, go all in. You have to go all in. If you do not go all in, you will regret it. 100 times out of 100, you will regret it. And that's exactly what happened. And now we do regret it. You're not guaranteed a Juan Soto. We weren't, and you left. You weren't guaranteed Stanton's health. You had it, and now he isn't. You weren't guaranteed Gerrit Cole's health. You had it, now he isn't. That was your window. Our window was last year to win that championship. It's criminal that they didn't. Absolutely criminal. Donald, the pitching cost for pitching at the deadline was extremely high. That would have been the time to move Cortez or Stroman. They should have made moves. They should have made the moves, man. Because, by the way, they're going to have to make a lot of moves right now in order to cover their asses for something that they should have done last year. And these asses are just to try and have them competitive this year, not to actually win a world championship, which they could have done last year. The Yankees didn't put themselves in the best position to succeed because they didn't fix the problems that were there on that roster last year. They didn't fix them. They dabbled in it, bringing in Jazz, that's cool. But it didn't really address the huge defensive problems because, again, you still had Gleyber Torres playing up the middle. And he couldn't play up the middle anymore. He couldn't play second base. It's terrible. That's just the reality. They didn't fix the positions that were a huge problem. And so once they got to a position where they faced a good team, they got their asses blown off. It's true. It's very frustrating. And now we're in a situation now where we should not be in this position. We should be excited. We should be talking about projections. We should be talking about exciting things coming into April. We should be talking about our opening day plans. Who's going where? You know? Who's going to be seated where on opening day? That should be the kind of conversations that Yankee fans have right now. Instead, Yankee fans right now are wondering who's playing where. That's a horrible look for a team that has a $300 million payroll and just came off a World Series loss. I'm not accepting it. I really won't. I think it's a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful offseason. And the worst spring I can remember. Got Dev Finch in the chat. Salute to you. What is going on, guys? So everybody, there's like 125 people in the chat. Really do appreciate it. Hit that like button. Let's see if there's any more news because it's been one hell of a rough week. The news is getting worse. So, I mean, at the moment, it looks like Gerrit Cole's probably going to get surgery. I can't see positive news here. You know, per John Morosi, Gerrit Cole was undergoing diagnostic tests on his throwing elbow. That's not a good sign. Absolutely not a good sign. So, I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. I really don't. I think this is looking like a 2026 situation. And it's so frustrating that they didn't take advantage of that window. And I can't get over that. You had Big G having the playoffs of his life. He couldn't even pick up things. He was in terrible pain, and he won us MVP. Carrying you in the World Series, doing everything possible to win us a championship. The least Brian Cashman could do is to do everything possible to get him support. But he didn't do it. It's malpractice. Imagine having a roster of Stanton, Judge, Soto, Gerrit Cole, and not going all in at the deadline. What sense does that make? There's not one person out of this 125 that can give me a justifiable reason why you wouldn't go all in. I want someone right now to challenge me and give me a logical reason why the Yankees shouldn't have gone all in last year. Because the Dodgers went all in and won the World Series, may I add. And those three guys that I mentioned all went to the Dodgers and helped win them the World Series. I'm going to leave that with you guys because it's true. But I want someone to challenge me on this because I do love a debate, but there's no excuse for this situation. Absolutely none. Organizational malpractice. Absolute organizational malpractice. And I feel let down. I feel let down by my team. I love this team, and I feel let down by them. But let's have a look at this Yankee starting lineup. We're going to get into it. And as I say, anybody in the chat, give me your comments. But let's have a look and see the Yankees lineup for the game due in the next 2 hours, 6:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Leading off, Jazz Chisholm. Okay. Playing second. Batting second, Anthony Volpe. Batting short. Third, Ben Rice is getting another game at catcher. Interesting. I wonder if that's a sign that the Yankees like him as their backup catcher. Left fielder cleaning up is Jason Dominguez. DH, J.C. Escara. I've quite liked Escara so far in spring. Swinging a decent bat. Quite a nice story with him being an Uber driver, and now he's batting in the middle of the order in spring training for the New York Yankees. That's pretty cool. Third base, Oswaldo Cabrera. I think the Yankees are focusing in on Cabrera being their starting third baseman. Right field, Pablo Reyes is at a decent spring. And then batting eighth is Spencer Jones. I've loved what I've seen from Spencer Jones. Batting ninth, TJ Rumfield. Not loved so far what I've seen from TJ Rumfield, but maybe he'll pick things up a little bit. Right-handing pitcher is Alan Winans. I don't know too much about him, I have to say. But, I'm quite interested by this lineup. It's quite young and exciting. I was hoping to get Lombard in there. And I was hoping Peraza would maybe get in there. But I know that he played yesterday. But he only got two at-bats. So I think the Yankees are really focusing in on Oswaldo Cabrera. And it is what it is. Anthony Volpe, dude's going to have another worldly year with the lack of depth in this team. Spencer Jones, I've loved Spencer Jones, and I can't wait till he's an option next year. Maybe September. I think it's probably a little early for anything beyond that, though. The Yankees have to go all in on Jason at left field. No, I agree with that. They have to be patient with Jason. I mean, he doesn't look comfortable out there, but they have to give him patience. All right, Ken, let's look at the chat. If the Yankees are really looking for a right-handed bat that can play third and outfield, I say go to the Reds and make the trade for Matt McLean. He's an excess player and is controllable. Dude, at least you're giving constructive feedback. That might be something that the Yankees should pay attention to. Not a bad shout at all. All of demands on the Yankees at the deadline were Jason, Jones, Lombard, Warren, Beater, very best prospects that the Yankees have. Well, I'm sorry. You have to get the best player possible that can help you win a championship. Because the Dodgers do that. The Dodgers will only give up their prospects in order to win the championship. Why are the Yankees not doing that? I mean, Beater's injured, for instance. Will Warren had like a 10 ERA last year. I mean, I quite like what we received from Will Warren, but if Will Warren is holding you from getting a difference maker that can help you win a championship, then I'm sorry, that's malpractice. Because the Yankees, my problem with the Yankees, and it's been going back since 2018, they've never really gone all in. They acquire guys that are supposed to be the missing piece to winning them a championship, but then don't help build a team around them. They dabble a little bit here. Oh, we're going to hold on to these prospects here. We're not going to move them to get better. We're going to hold on to them, and we're going to hold on to our budget too. We've got a very strict budget. It just doesn't make sense. It's a confusing narrative. The Yankees haven't gone all in since 2018. They, they bring back Aaron Judge on the promise that you're going to build him a roster that's world championship caliber. You look at this roster right now, and if you can tell me with a straight face this is a World Series caliber team, I would find you the best actor in the world, because this is not a world championship team. Not by a million miles. Not a chance. I didn't even think they were a world championship caliber team even before the Gerrit Cole news. So they're kind of letting down Aaron Judge too. What's the point in signing him to that big contract and not put a better team around him? What's the point in signing Gerrit Cole to a massive contract and not putting a better team around him? Doesn't make sense. Right. The rest of the starting lineup are excellent players. What? 2/3 of this lineup are massive question marks. Anthony Volpe is statistically a below average offensive shortstop. I think he had the second worst OPS among active shortstops offensively. Volpe is a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, right? But he has a terrible arm. But I'm looking at the offense. I'm focusing in on the offense right now. His numbers are very poor as a shortstop in this league. Very poor. Amongst his peers, he's among the worst. I believe the second worst OPS among shortstops. So I wouldn't say he's excellent yet. Third base is not excellent. Oswaldo Cabrera gave you, I believe, a 97 OPS plus last year, which is below average. He's your starting third baseman. That's not excellent. Goldschmidt was excellent 2-3 years ago. He's below average last year. He had a below average year last year. Plus, he's like 38. Well, there's not much upside there. That's a question mark. I think he's going to be fine, but it's still a question mark. Cody Bellinger is probably your second best bat. But by the way, he had an average year last year. He struggled last year, actually. And I believe, 4 of the last 5 years, he hasn't had great years. So I think he's going to be really good. In fact, of all the acquisitions, I'm most excited about him. But you can't sell to me that you can absolutely trust that he's going to be excellent. In 2021, he bat 165. 2022, he bat 210. He had a great year in 2023, but then last year, it was right back to an average year. So, yeah, that's true, man. I mean, absolutely accurate. 3 of his last 4 years, he struggled. 4 of his last 5 years, he struggled. So you can't tell me that he's guaranteed to be excellent. So let's not pretend that this is MVP Cody Bellinger. I hope it is, but I doubt it will be. DH Dom Smith. Garbage. I I don't know what Kool-Aid you're drinking, man. This is not an excellent team. Yeah, he's an upgrade, but you're saying that they're excellent. I think our definitions of excellent are different. He needs to be better than Verdugo. Well, yeah, again, you're talking about an upgrade. Yeah, there's no question that they're all an upgrade. But the definition of excellent, I doubt that. Those names I have given you are not excellent. I said Chisholm and Wells are excellent. Wells didn't hit after August, so I like Wells a lot. In fact, I think he's a much better prospect than Anthony Volpe, but he's not excellent yet. I think he will be, not guaranteed. Jazz Chisholm, I love Jazz Chisholm. I think he's good, but again, he didn't really hit in October either. But a lot of those guys I've mentioned, none of them bat for average. None of them get on base, apart from Aaron Judge, and that's a problem when you look at the constitution of the lineup. Jason with regular at bats will be very good, in my opinion. I agree. I'm not arguing with that. I mean, I'm not saying any of those players that you mentioned are bad players. I think they're good players. I'm excited about Cody Bellinger. I'm excited about Wells. I'm excited about Jason Dominguez. But there's still question marks. The only automatics I can think of on this team right now are Aaron Judge and Jazz Chisholm. That's the only names I can think of that are like I absolutely trust are going to have good years. For a team that's trying to compete for a world championship, is that enough? No. Right. Well, if you agree with that, then that's the case. That's not enough. But it is what it is. FJ, not close. Exactly. It isn't close. It's not close to enough. I'm an optimist. I'm a realist. I'm not even that negative. I'm a realist. I have to be honest. I try and look at things objectively, and I try and look at what they did in previous years to make up a picture as to what I can expect for this coming year. And I have to be honest. I have real concerns about how this Yankee roster is constituted. And I think that would be interesting because why not just have a look at the statistics of what these guys are coming off of last year, and that might give us a better idea, so that I'm not just talking out of my ass. You can see what actually we're talking about here. Right, here we go. I'll get this screen shared. Hey, we got Sunil in the chat. Salute, Sunil. How are you? Right, here's the Yankee lineup. This was last year. Obviously, Aaron Judge, that's no question. Soto, no question, brilliant. Giancarlo Stanton, no question, brilliant. So two of these guys are not going to be a factor this year. Torres, not there. Verdugo, not there. Okay, Austin Wells. Here we go, Austin Wells. Austin Wells, so you're defining him as excellent. He gave us a 320 on base percentage, a slug of 390, which is not great, and OPS of 717, which is okay. 13 homers, 55. I think he's really good. I love him, but let's settle down. Anthony Volpe had a terrible year last year. 293 on base percentage is completely unacceptable and disgraceful for a starting player in the majors. Absolutely is. 360 slug, poor. 657 OPS is disgusting. just 12 home runs, and 156 strikeouts. You're defining him as excellent. I think we have different definitions of excellent. Oswaldo Cabrera, another 296 on base percentage. This is what I'm focusing in on, guys. I'm focusing in on base percentage because we need to get on base for Aaron Judge, right? Who were our on base leaders last year? Our on base leaders, there was only 5 that were actually considered on the list. One was Aaron Judge. Next, Juan Soto, who's gone. Gleyber Torres, who's gone. 4th is Anthony Volpe with 293, which is disgusting. And then the 5th is Verdugo, who's disgusting. He's not even there anymore. So you're telling me I'm negative. I'm just giving you the reality. But let's look at the OPS situation. Who were our OPS leaders last year? Again, it was Judge and Soto, Torres. None of them are a factor. Then Volpe, who's 657, is very, very poor, 647. Verdugo, who's not even here anymore. That's what I'm talking about. It's not a great situation. So let's look at Oswaldo Cabrera's OPS, 661, below average. Ben Rice, who you have a lot of hopes for, OPS 613, also below average. 171 batting average. Jason Dominguez, who again we have high hopes for, but again, about 179, 617 OPS. These are massive question marks. And I'm not being negative by saying it. They are massive question marks. So all those guys that I mentioned all have below average numbers. On base percentage is a big thing I'm focusing on. Austin Wells is due to be our leadoff hitter, and he was on base about 32% of the time. Then Anthony Volpe, 29% of the time. Jazz Chisholm, 32%. These are not good on-base numbers. Trent Grisham, 290. Not good. Oswaldo Cabrera, 296. Not good. Ben Rice, 260. He never got on base. I mean, I'm just giving you the stats. I'm not being negative. As I'm saying, I'm looking at this lineup, and I'm not seeing what's excellent about it. I've seen far worse Yankee rosters. I've seen worse Yankee rosters too, but none that's just falling after a World Series. Ken says Pereira's looking good. Yeah, I mean, I quite like Pereira. I'm quite excited by how a lot of guys are looking in spring, but it's hard to tell because spring. You know? Spring doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a great year. Spencer Jones never made it out last year in spring. And then he also struck out like almost 40% of the time or something last year. So you're not guaranteed to have an amazing regular season if you have a great spring. It helps, but I'm not saying you're not guaranteed either. So there's a lot of question marks with this Yankee lineup. I've just gone through it right there. Much of our lineup don't get on base. So I looked at, that was last year's team. Let's look at 2025. Cody Bellinger. I have high hopes for Cody Bellinger. I think he's going to have a good year. Cody Bellinger obviously looks really good in spring. No question about it. I'm liking his numbers in spring. Look at that. 1,200 OPS looks great. 800 slug, 476 on base percentage, 476 average. I mean, anything like that would be incredible. But let's not forget last year, on base percentage, 325. I mean, it's okay. It's not great. 18 homers, that needs to be so much higher, considering he's your second best bat right now. 18 homers, that needs to be up to about minimum 25, 30 to be your second best bat. So, yeah, I'm just being realistic. 751 OPS is fine, but it probably needs to be closer to 800 if you're being completely honest. So, I mean, I think I'm excited about him the most, but you have to wait and see how it plays out because he didn't have a good year last year. Paul Goldschmidt, what's he been doing so far in spring? Batting 180, 500 OPS so far. So he's kind of been struggling so far in spring. And I mean, last year, he was cooked last year. A 302 on base percentage is completely unacceptable for your third best hitter. OPS of 716 is kind of unacceptable as your third best hitter. 22 homers, that needs to be a little higher too. 65 ribbies needs to be higher. 245 batting average, not great. So he looked kind of cooked last year. The Yankees are bringing him back. And I'm not sure what we're going to get from him at all. I'm most excited by George Lombard, but he's not an option in 2025. He looks amazing. Everson Pereira does look pretty good. And Spencer Jones. He looks insane. These guys, I mean, I'm not saying that our future is cooked. I'm actually quite excited by our future. I think in 2026, we're going to be good. But this year, there's 2/3 of this lineup that are massive question marks. Donald, for my eye test, the Yankees are scatters, a few dingers, but it appears that the situational hitting is really improved. Yeah, I do. I can see that. I can see that. Our situational hitting was an issue apart from Soto last year and Stanton last year. They were good in those spots, but we need to do better with runners in scoring position this year. It's a big emphasis. They're scoring bunches, lots of 4 to 7 run innings. Yeah, it's spring. It's spring. As I say, a lot of those guys that are giving you those runs are not going to be a factor in this year's lineup, apart from Bellinger. That's the truth. You're saying that Anthony Volpe's considered excellent, but he's having a horrible spring. Batting 158, OPS of 400, 316 slug. I have to be honest, I'm not getting this love for Anthony Volpe. He hasn't even played that well defensively either. You're saying moderate. Oh, I've just given you numbers that are far below moderate, not even close to moderate. Donald, with Stanton facing season-ending surgery, who do you slate into the DH role year-round? It's going to be kind of a mix and match situation at the moment, barring a move that Brian Cashman makes. You'll be looking at Ben Rice. You'll be looking at a bit of JC Escara. You'll be looking at Dom Smith, and you'll be looking at Aaron Judge, doing a little bit of DH work, and then maybe an outfield alignment if Aaron Judge DHs of Jason Dominguez to play left field, maybe Bellinger to play right, and then you'd maybe be looking at Grisham to play center field. Art Vandelay, hey, good. Do love that name. Seinfeld reference. Salute to you. What have you got to say about this situation, Fritz? Be interested. John says scoring bunches because of homers is not situational hitting. Putting the ball in play to move runners up or scoring them. That's never been a Yankee strength. Basically, as long as Aaron Boone's been here, it's not really been a strength of the Yankees. So I have to see to believe it that it's going to happen this year. And by the way, what's happening with all these fundamentals? I was promised excellent fundamentals this spring. I'm not seeing it. I thought the Yankees were going to really focus on the fundamentals, considering it cost them the World Series last year. 98 Yankee team was the best situation team I've ever seen. The 98 team was the best Yankee team I've ever seen as well. I was there. I loved it. Incredible team. But this is so far from this. So far from 1998, it's not even funny. We are so far from 1998, it's actually disgusting. What else has everybody got in the chat got to say about this? Because I know that you guys have got a lot of opinions. We have 132 people in the chat. Hit those like button, people. Art Vandalay, Yankees 10 games back into May. You're spawning about Volpe. Kids like Volpe need to hit. Regardless of their talent, they need to perform. Exactly. I'm not saying he's not talented, but he also needs to perform. I think he's lived a charmed life at shortstop, and the Yankees have not given a prospect this amount of rope in as long as I can remember, especially without performing in return. The Yankees never gave anybody this amount of rope. I don't agree. I think the Yankees are all in on Volpe because they made that concerted decision, man. They passed on Corey Seager. They passed on shortstops. They passed on Correa. They passed on all these big name guys in order to go all in on Anthony Volpe. But I don't see them moving off of him. But Volpe really needs to have a big year this year. And I am not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. I know it sounds like I hate the guy. I don't. I think he's a good kid. I think he's an incredibly hard worker. But I think he's a decent prospect, but I don't think he's the kind of prospect that the Yankees think that they have. Like, for what I see, I think he's got amazing footwork, which makes up for his below-average arm. But he's got a really terrible arm for a shortstop. And when we really need a great arm at short, he can't deliver. You often see when he's on the run, when he makes a throw, it needs to bounce at least twice before it even reaches first base. That's not ideal. You probably want a stronger arm at shortstop. But you say, well, you can live with that because his defense overall is good. And I'm not saying that it isn't. Overall, it's good. I don't think it's as nearly as great as people say it is, but I think it's good. And it's certainly not a negative. It's certainly more of a plus than it is than anything. It's a plus defense still, despite his poor arm. But his lack of offense is a concern, man. So we write off that this spring is bad. Okay, I know, because it's just spring, but I mean he's only batting like 150, 400 OPS, which is like 300 points below average. Last year he was terrible offensively. He had a really good playoffs, I'll give him that, but the regular season he was very poor. Rookie season he didn't really hit either. I don't know. I see Dorn says it's sophomore slump. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, did he really hit in his rookie year either? Didn't hit for average. Struck out too many times, went into long, prolonged slumps. I just don't see the kind of prospect that some are saying. I'm mentioning Volpe because Soto's gone. Once Goldschmidt and other veterans struggling, spotlights are going to catch Volpe. Exactly. That's a good point. And I think that was probably one of my frustrations in this offseason. And the Yankees didn't help their young prospects by adding a significant bat in the offseason, like a real game-changing bat. They didn't do it. they kick the can down the line again at first base. They've never once had a long-term first baseman since Mark Teixeira. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Anthony Rizzo is about as close as you can make to a long-term option at first, and he wasn't a long-term option. But they haven't gone all in at first base. They've passed on a ton of first basemen over the years, and they just keep kicking it down the line. They've gone to Luke Voigt. He was okay. They tried it out with Greg Bird. Didn't work out. Tried DJ LeMahieu at first base. Been kicking the can down the line, kicking the can down the line, kicking the can down the line. First base is the kind of position that you need premium production. If you're looking at how to constitute a roster, you really need your first baseman to get you an 800 OPS and 25 to 30 home runs, guaranteed every year. The Yankees haven't had that since, tell me when. Mark Teixeira, a million years ago. I can't think of when. But the Yankees keep kicking the can down the line at first base. And when you keep doing that, it'll eventually come back to bite you that you don't have any long-term options. Yeah, Duran, text, exactly. That's exactly, you just answered my question for me. They haven't gone on, they haven't helped themselves here. You nail it, exactly. That's the truth. And you can make the same argument for third base. When was the last time that they have had a great option at third base? Josh Donaldson, flaming train wreck. Flaming train wreck at third base. Who else have they had? They haven't really gone all in at third base either. They keep kicking the can down the line at third, and now we don't have a third baseman now. Now at third base, 2025, your third baseman is Oswaldo Cabrera and Peraza. They don't like Peraza, and I don't believe that they think that Cabrera is an everyday player. But those are your only options because the Yankees haven't planned ahead. They don't plan ahead. They just kind of wait to see what happens. They're a reactionary ball club instead of being proactionary. Proactive they're reactive instead of proactive. Now they don't really have an option at third. And first base, they've gone to a 37-year-old who hasn't hit in a while. That's it. That's because that's on them. It's no one else's fault but themselves. So it's actually going to put unnecessary pressure on an Anthony Volpe. Heck, even in Austin Wells. Heck, it's even going to rush up the development of a Spencer Jones and a Lombard because the Yankees didn't really help themselves this offseason. They didn't help themselves this offseason. They didn't mitigate the Stanton injury. They did not plan regarding that Stanton injury. It looks like they just sat in their hands and were like, oh, wow, look, he's injured. Even though we knew about it in October. Wow, he's still injured? Wow, imagine that. Ken, left fielder since Gardy. Spot on, man. That's now your third position. So that I've now talked about a third of a major league lineup the Yankees have not gone all in on. And you're wondering why we're in this mess right now in 2025, where we don't know who's going to play where. Because the Yankees haven't mitigated for a third of your batting lineup. They've been kicking the can down the line at first, been kicking the can down the line at third, and you're kicking the can down the line, and now we're in left field. Who's been your left fielder since Gardy? All kinds of people. Well, Frenchie Cordero. It's been a mess. Red Thunder didn't really work out for him. And now Jason Dominguez, who's a center fielder, and they're hoping that he can play left. Verdugo last year, he played good left, but he couldn't bat worth a shit. So they haven't really had an answer at left either. I've now named a third of your roster, and the Yankees wonder why they're in this position. Let's talk about shortstop. Yeah, let's talk about shortstop. When was the last time the Yankees had a good shortstop? It isn't Volpe. The last one was Didi Gregorius. Gleyber Torres, disaster at shortstop. Absolute disaster. One of the worst shortstops I've ever seen. Ever. I've been watching baseball for almost 40 years. It's the worst shortstop I've ever seen. Garbage. IKF. Couldn't play shortstop worth a shit because he was a third baseman. The Yankees tried to reinvent the wheel. That didn't work out either. Anthony Volpe, yeah, he's giving you a Gold Glove. Defense, a very fortunate Gold Glove, by the way. He threw a ton of errors on his Gold Glove year, but okay, he luckily got the award, but he can't hit. So the Yankees haven't really answered that position either. Yeah. And you wonder why we're in this position, guys. You wonder why we're in this position. Very frustrating. Donald, who would have been the significant bat that you would have added? Well, I would have done everything possible to bring in Tucker, but if he couldn't have done that, then I would have taken advantage of the fact that Bregman was sitting there, and late in February, he could have given you could have gotten a third baseman in there with a proper bat, giving you great defense. Short-term deal. Heck, Pete Alonso was unsigned for a long time, and I would have taken him over Goldschmidt on a short-term deal with a 1-year, 2-year opt-out. Someone that's guaranteed to give you 35 home runs, 40 home runs, 90 to 100 RBIs. Put that beside Aaron Judge. I wouldn't dismiss that. I know he can't play defense too well, but I mean, with that kind of power, could have done a lot worse. Especially, I mean, all those would have been negative options had it been long-term deals. But for 1 year and an opt-out, you have to take advantage of the market when it comes. That's how the Yankees got Mark Teixeira. Mark Teixeira's market suddenly cleared up late in December. They're like, shit, 21st of December. Shit, let's go and get him. You got to take advantage of when your market clears up. So, I mean, I also could have mentioned Christian Walker. Better option than Goldschmidt. Now, I know there might be an injury with him. I don't know, but he had an amazing year last year. Those are already better names than the Yankees are trotting out there right now. Hicks, oh God. Sunil has just probably ruined me. Willie Calhoun. Franchise Cordero. Greg Allen's the best of the list so far. And, of course, Aaron Hicks. Oh, my God, I'm in pain. And you wonder why the Yankees don't have an answer for the lack of depth in 2025. Their moves have been disasters. The Josh Donaldson trade, flaming train wreck. Joey Gallo trade, flaming train wreck. One of the worst left fielders in our history. He was so bad. Outrageous. Aaron Hicks, man. I've still got PTSD from Aaron Hicks. I absolutely still have PTSD from Aaron Hicks. The worst players I have ever seen. I can't believe that the Yankees gave him a 10-year extension. And so again, I will say that the Yankees are very much at fault for why they're in this situation in 2025 with a lack of depth. Their decision making has been dreadful. Their allocation of resources, dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. And now you're at the 301 threshold and you're still paying off Aaron Hicks. They're on the hook for DJ LeMahieu, who's not hit in about 2 years. Holy shit. There he is. There's that clown. Staring at his shoes while the ball is a minimum 6 feet behind him. There he is. That image will stay with me for a long time. A long, long time. And guess what? After he stared at his shoes and allowed those runners at first and second to round the bases and score, while the ball was still 6 feet behind him, and then he turned and looked at the ball like it was like an alien from outer space, and Tampa Bay went and clinched the division because of that. The Yankees didn't even take him out after that. They kept him in, at least for another couple of innings, for him to fuck up another one in the outfield. Unbelievable. That guy absolutely murdered us, Aaron Hicks. Murdered us. What an absolute farce this franchise is. This franchise is a train wreck, and they got lucky. They got very lucky last year, because now we're in a dreadful situation. Terrible, terrible allocation of resources. They can't move Marcus Stroman. They couldn't move Marcus Stroman. Hamstrung by Hal Steinbrenner's budget. Now they desperately need Marcus Stroman. What a mess. DJ LeMahieu contract, absolute mess. Still paying Aaron Hicks after DFAing him years ago. Mess. And I'm supposed to trust that this team's gonna just magically make a World Series run this year with this lack of depth in the roster? No chance. Absolutely no chance. Not buying it. Not for a minute. What a mess. Art Vanderlei, whoever's responsible for Frazier, whoever under the line. I mean, I actually, you know what? I think the Yankees are maybe 40% at fault for Clint Frazier, because when he first came into the league and the Yankees were giving him a run out, he did have lightning bat speed and he was hitting, but the Yankees kept sending him down. For a cooked Brett Gardner, kept sending him down, promoting him, sending him down. Where have I heard this before? Oh, they've done that with almost every single prospect apart from Anthony Volpe. Send him up, send him down, send him up, send him down, send him up, send him down. And then they're shocked that Frazier couldn't hack it. Yeah, he got concussed. That wasn't obviously the Yankees' fault. It wasn't Frazier's fault either, but the Yankees didn't help him. Sending him up, sending him down, sending him up, sending him up. If you don't like him, trade him. It's not difficult. It's the same thing with Peraza. I love Peraza. The Yankees don't like him. Doing the same thing with Frazier. Send him up, send him down, send him up, send him down, send him up, send him down. Now they've used up their last option on Peraza. What a mess. Now they have to make use of him or they'll have to DFA him. What a mess. Hal should drive to the race and hire the best for him. They don't have to look that far. They could bring back Kim Inge. Didn't they refuse to trade Frazier for Cole? Bingo! Jonathan, Yankees have not handled their minor leaguers well in years. Spawn. Peraza is gonzo if he gets waived. Exactly. I love Peraza. Phenomenal prospect. Yankees treated him like shit. Imagine refusing to trade Frazier for Gerrit Cole. By the way, they refused to trade Andujar as well. They had no idea what they were going to do with Andujar. They had him play a bit of first, a bit of third, a bit of left. But they kept demoting him for Aaron Hicks, by the way. But they kept doing it. They sat him all over the infield. He couldn't play it. Didn't know what to do with him. DH'd him. He got hurt. Refused to trade him. Then he got hot and went on a hot streak. And then he got some more trade offers. Brian Cashman even admitted it. That he got some trade offers for Andujar. He rejected all of them. And guess what happened to Andujar? They DFA'd him. Of course, they DFA'd him. If you don't like a prospect and you don't have a plan for a prospect, move him. Well, their value is high. Because if you don't do it, then all you're going to end up doing is DFAing them. You're going to lose a prospect for nothing. It just doesn't make sense. Dodgers GM is coming from the Rays. I mean, I like Kim Inge. I think Kim Inge is really good. She went to Miami, and I think she did a good job in Miami. And I think she should come back and get a front office role. Yankees have not handled their minor leaguers well in years, says Jonathan. He's right about that. It is frustrating. It's an issue, you know? It's a massive issue because that's why I'm looking at this roster and it's complete lack of depth. You know, our farm system is currently 24th because there's no one ready in 2025 that can really make a difference on this roster, right? There looks like they've got some quality prospects for 2026 and beyond, but nothing for this year. They graduated their top prospects, and they've still, you know, there's still a lot of questions attached to them. So there's a lack of depth. They traded away a lot of their depth as well to get Joey Gallo, which tanked. There was no reason to trade Gio Urshela for Josh Donaldson, none at all. That was a horrible trade. An amazingly bad trade because Gio Urshela actually had a better offensive year than Josh Donaldson that following year. What a mess. They had no idea what they were doing with Gary Sanchez. He was your top prospect for a while. He was your star catcher for a while. Then it started to really start declining. Yankees had no idea what to do with Gary Sanchez. In the end, he ended up on the Josh Donaldson trade. Horrible use of resources. Gleyber Torres. They haven't really been all in on Gleyber Torres in a while. Clearly, by Brian Cashman's comments, he's not a big fan of Gleyber Torres. And yet, he didn't trade him. And they'll let him go for nothing. Well, even picking up a qualifying offer so you don't even get a draft pick in return. He was meant to be your star. A couple of years ago, he was so good that Brian Cashman said, I have to live in this city. I couldn't possibly trade Gleyber Torres. Well, if that's the case, you got to make the most of him, man. And you didn't. And now he's gone. And you got nothing for him. And now the Yankees have absolutely no freaking depth. And why is there not enough people bringing that up? Because it's true. It's absolutely true. The mistakes of this organization has been a long time coming. And it's just come home to roost right now. Because they don't have the depth. They just don't have the depth. They don't have the depth that they need. And now they have to overpay a but they don't want to overpay. And now they're stuck. Frank Rivera in the chat. Good to see Frank Rivera in the chat. Doran might as well play. Let's play prospects because this group isn't winning. That's a good point. I like Gio. I love Gio Urshela. Dude, you're getting someone that's giving you league minimum contract, and he's giving you slightly above league average numbers. That's a freaking steal. You got lucky. Take advantage of that, because that means that you can use the money that you're saving on attacking it in other areas. But they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Traded him for a $50 million Josh Donaldson and fucked your roster. Fucked your roster viciously by acquiring Josh Donaldson. Completely fucked them. Once again, now in 2025, the Yankees are looking really poor in depth. Lack of depth. Poor decisions. Very poor decisions. And it's all come back to bite them in the ass. So yeah, you can mitigate for the Stanton injury. You can. Because apparently they knew about it in October. I thought I read where Cashman had a bug up his butt about Gio. Dude, I have the freaking quote. I have the receipt. Because I have a freaking laundry list of receipts on Brian Cashman and his excuses. But he said, and I quote, it's too laughable to even say, oh, we like Gio, but he's not Josh Donaldson. Imagine saying that with a straight face. That's freaking great. That's great. Gonna share the screen because that was just funny. That's my favorite. We appreciate what Gio's done, but he's just not Josh Donaldson. Brian Cashman. Let's look at the year that Gio Urshela had as opposed to $50 million clown that is Josh Donaldson. Went above replacement. Gio's was almost 4. His was 2. Batting average 290. Batting average 207. Freaking great. Slug 413, 380. OPS 740, OPS 670. OPS plus 109, 91. What a freaking clown. Wow. We appreciate what Gio's done, but he's just not Josh Donaldson. Yeah. Well, that came back to bite us in the ass. That was in 2023. 2023. 2 years later, we don't have a third baseman. 2 years later, we don't have a freaking third baseman. We missed out on Harper, who wanted to come and passed on so many other players. Exactly. Because what did Brian Cashman say? Why would I possibly need Harper? I've got Aaron Hicks. And I've got Brett Gardner. I don't need Harper. Well, where's Brett Gardner and Aaron Hicks now? Don't need Harper. I've got Aaron Hicks. It's one of the funniest quotes of all time. That's something that should be on Saturday Night Live, honestly. Every season they're counting on the deadline instead of paying players a winner. Exactly. And that was the situation in 2023. The Yankees did nothing at the deadline because they were so cooked by the time they reached the deadline. Because they did nothing in the winter. Maybe if you put together a stronger lineup that could withstand an Aaron Judge's toe injury for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, then they wouldn't nearly have been so fucked in 2023, but they were. Terrible decisions. And I'm telling you, Juan Soto covered up for a bunch of our mistakes last year. Yes, he did. And I know it's not a popular take because everybody hates Juan Soto for going to Queens. I understand. And people are diminishing him because he can't play right field. Okay. But the guy could hit the shit out of a baseball. And his incredible year last year made up for the fact we had no third baseman, had no first baseman, had no left fielder. He made up for all that. He made up for the fact that we had no closer. He made up for the fact that we had a shitty middle relief. He made up for all that because he was that good. He made up for the fact that we could not hit in situationally. He made up for the fact that we couldn't get on base because he did all of that shit. And that's why I was most concerned that when he left, that means that the Yankees are going to have to actually make decisions. That's frightening because I've just listed for the last 2 hours the decisions, and 90% of them are terrible. So that's why absolutely I would have paid Soto whatever it took because he made up for about 3 or 4 negligent decisions in the front office. And Jonathan, the Yankees need a massive reset after years of bad choices. That's exactly what I would have done after Soto left. That's the first thing I would have done. I would have done a reset. I would have absolutely done a reset. I would have looked at the front office and I would have really focused on player development. I would have brought in better people to partner Brian Cashman. I certainly wouldn't have extended Aaron Boone without seeing how this year plays out, especially after he managed quite poorly in the World Series. There's no precedent to rush to extend him when they've never done that with any free agent in the history of the Yankees. Feeding frenzy for Aaron Boone. That's another list of excuses of Brian Cashman quotes. But I would have absolutely focused on a bunch of things. Player development, maybe put in some better coaches beside Aaron Boone, especially the third base coach who can't coach third base. Really focus on those areas. Spreading the money that you saved for Soto and maybe attack the areas in which he left you kind of weak, which is like on base percentage and RBIs. So I would have acquired somebody that could get on base at a 400 clip and someone that could drive in RBIs. And then I wouldn't be so worried about this lineup. But they didn't do any of that. And the Yankees just keep kicking the can down the line, keeping the can down the line, kicking the can down the line. You can't just keep doing that. The Yankees keep their prospects in the minors forever. And then when they come up and fail, they have no trade value. Facts. Soto loss is going to give Hal nightmares. Dude, I'm completely on your side with that. Soto loss is going to come back to kick the Yankees in the balls. And so all these morons on X right now that are sharing the fact that Soto dropped the ball in right field and all that stuff. How about wait till we get to April, and then one of our dudes strikes out with a runner in scoring position and we lose. And then you look at Juan Soto and you'll be batting like fucking 320 in Queens and hitting freaking grand slams in his sleep. And then maybe we'll be looking like morons for making fun of him for dropping a ball in spring training. Because we don't have a team right now. Maybe in 2026 I can be excited. 2026, I'm quite excited. There's some good free agents that are available. If Hal Steinbrenner bothers to actually open his checkbook, I can't believe that he's getting away with this, by the way. I think that's another thing. Freaking shameful. Shameful that he gave such a strict budget to Brian Cashman after losing Soto. What people are missing is the fact that, you hear the same excuses. Oh, if you can't win with a $300 million payroll, what's wrong with you? Yeah. But what you're missing is after Soto left, right? And I've already mentioned there's like 3 or 4 positions that were below average on the offense. Our payroll was around about $235 million. So if your budget only takes you up to the Cohen threshold, which is about 301, 303, at the most, you've got under $70 million to spend. $70 million to make up about 3 positions in your lineup, plus add starting pitching depth, plus as a closer, plus build a bench. That's impossible. That's really hard to freaking do. No wonder we couldn't do it. Yeah, Cashman. You can blame Cashman's payroll allocation up to this year for sure. We shouldn't have had $235 million tied to an average roster. But if you lose a World Series as heartbreakingly as we did, and then lost one of the best players in a generation to your rival as heartbreakingly as we did, and only give your GM around about $60 million to spend, that's fucking shameful. Fuck off. Fuck off. Exactly. Right. Like, give us a break. Give me a break. And that's why I feel like the Yankees slapped me in the face. Because there's someone who shares time in New York and Scotland. I'm more than happy if the Yankees compete. I'm more than happy to fly over to New York and spend time in New York to watch Yankee games. No problem. I would do it. But if they are going to pretend that they don't have any loot, then I'm going to pretend I don't have any loot. Because they're not worth my fucking money. You can fuck right off. Fuck right off. Most valuable franchise in the sport, and they're like, no, we got budget. Go bondsman. Get the fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. John, sort of play we wouldn't have Max Fried. Imagine. How's praying Mets get no ring with Soto? Yeah, it still doesn't excuse them. I mean, I don't even know if they're going to get a ring with Soto, but I know the Yankees will be praying that, but it still doesn't excuse it. But even if he does go to Queens, fine. You still have to build a better roster. And they didn't do it. They left third base empty. They didn't mitigate Stanton's injury. You didn't bring in a righty bat. You didn't make sure that Stanton took care of the injury during the offseason. You did none of that. And I'm supposed to be like, yeah, freaking, whatever ticket, I'm going. It's a slap in the face of the fans, man. They made a ton of money, unbelievable amounts of money, crazy amounts of money from last year alone. And they have a budget like this? And they're multiple position shorts? Nah, not taking it, not accepting it. Some people will, but not me. Well, dude, there's some people that buy it. Some people are quite cool with it. Oh, it's not Hal's fault. That's what's really like frustrating. There's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, it's not Hal's fault. He did his best." You know, I mean, yeah, okay, he did put in a record contract offer for Soto, fine. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't spend any time with Soto during the year to get to know the guy and convince him that the Yankees are the future. And probably Soto thought that, you know what? I don't really see a positive future for the Yankees. And guess what? He's right. Because look at this fucking state of this affairs right now. They've completely mishandled Stanton's injury. Now Gerrit Cole's injured. They don't have a third baseman. They don't have a bench at all. $414 million in ticket sales alone. Exactly. So you couldn't afford another bat. This was before the Stan news hit, by the way. This is when they didn't even sign guys that are like on minor league contracts because Hal says they're out of loot. Right, and that's another thing. If they say it's not Cashman's fault, but there's no one to replace Cashman. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, which way do you like whatever narrative that the Yankees use doesn't make a lot of sense. So if they're saying it's not Hal's fault because $300 million is more than enough to win, right? Well, then you look at the roster and say that we're, at least quarter of the roster short. Then you'd say, all right, well, maybe your general manager isn't allocating the funds correctly. But then the excuse is, no, Brian Cashman's excellent. He's one of the best GMs in baseball. All right, so which one is it then? So if he's one of the best GMs in baseball, then surely the owner needs to be better and allow him the funds to go and put together a better team. Whichever way you look at it, the narrative falls apart. Whichever way you look at it. If you're saying that Hal Steinbrenner is this brilliant owner and he's not cheap, then why doesn't he make sure that there isn't a limit? Especially when you earn $414 million in ticket sales alone, not including concessions, not including jerseys, right? $414 million, that's more than most, that's almost all that any team could possibly dream of earning in a regular season from ticket sales. And apparently they've got a budget. Don't buy it, bro. Not buying it. All right, so if he's not cheap, even though he's clearly got a self-imposed budget, right? Well, then it's the GM's fault for not putting together a better roster. Oh, no, Brian Cashman is one of the best GMs in baseball. Okay, then what is it then? Right? Aaron Boone, same thing. Aaron Boone, feeding frenzy for Aaron Boone. He's the greatest manager in baseball. Gets outmanaged by Alex Cora. Gets outmanaged by Roberts. Gets outmanaged by Kevin Cash. Oh, no. But look at our winning record in the regular season. Or look at our 560 winning percentage with Aaron Boone in the regular season. All right, well, look at his winning percentage in the postseason. Oh, no, but that doesn't count. Well, what do you want then? There is always an excuse. Always an excuse. Always a ready-made excuse. So what? Whose fault is it then? Because something's wrong. Oh, no, it's injuries. Well, look at our medical staff. No, it's not the medical staff's fault. Well, whose fault is it? Because this is ridiculous. Boone gets outmatched by Mendoza, right? Our fundamentals were so bad against the Dodgers. Ridiculous. Whose fault is that? Oh, no, it's not Aaron Boone's fault. Well, whose fault is it then? Oh, it's the player's fault. Yeah, but no one fires an entire bunch of players. Yeah, you obviously have to blame a coaching staff. Oh, no, it's none of their fault either. All right. Well, why is our third base coach getting everybody thrown out at third base? Oh, it's not his fault. There's always an excuse. This is a self-satisfied organization built firmly on excuses. And anytime anybody asks a question, there's just stonewalling. John, the clear answer to the dilemma is the Yankee fans need to stay away from purchasing Yankees memorabilia. Stop watching the games. Don't go to the stadium. Hardening their wallet will force changes. Absolutely agree. But that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man. Because the Yankees, they know they're not stupid. They're very much tuned in. They know very well that the Yankees are the most popular franchise in the world in terms of baseball. And one of the biggest brands in the world of sports in general. So tourists are going to be like, I'm going to go to Yankee Stadium. Tourists don't go to Queens. They go to Yankee Stadium, right? So even when the Yankees had some of the worst rosters I've ever seen in like 2012, 2013, like a horrible, horrifying team, they still sold out a bunch of games. So they're never going to struggle. You know what I'm saying? This logo will always have somebody want to go and sit and say that they were in Yankee Stadium. So they know that people aren't staying away. The worst that they're going to get is people sell their season tickets, but someone will always pick it up. It's the Yankees. And so they're not worried about that. The biggest hit will be people on X, or YouTube, will be yelling into their cameras, but they don't give a fuck about us. They never have. So I'm not confident as to what's going to take for them to actually see that it's important to make changes, because they don't see the financial benefit to that. So that's the problem. Excuse me, sorry about that. That's the problem. They don't see the financial benefit to making changes. What would be the benefit? What would be the financial benefit for Hal Steinbrenner to make a bunch of changes? Because if he did tank, what would happen? They're going to lose ticket sales. No, they won't. It'll be fine. They'll get tourist money in. They're almost in. There's not really any need for them to make any changes as long as they're okay enough to make the wild card and get knocked out in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. Then they'll always be ready-made for an excuse. They'll always be ready for an excuse. So that's the problem. That is the problem. So that's why I'm not confident that any changes are forthcoming. Plus the Aaron Boone situation. They've already got ahead of it and gave him a new contract without even knowing what's going to happen this year. Yeah, right. Constantly playing players out of position. Wild. And of course the giveaways. Spot on. What happens if they go another 15 years without a World Series ring? I mean, we haven't seen any changes. I'm not confident any is going to be forthcoming. Remember their big moves after 2023, after they missed the playoffs? They were going to get their analytics situation looked at. They're going to get auditors to audit their Analytics. That was great. That was my favorite. Um, but guess who was in charge of the audit? Mike Fishman. Guess who's in charge of our analytics? Mike Fishman. All right. So the audit was actually bullshit then. Okay. And Regil's right there with me. Remember the audit. Exactly. That's it, man. We're on the same wavelength, me and Regil. The audit. Mike Fishman in charge of the audit of his own department. What's he going to do? Fire himself? Good luck with that. What's Mike Fishman going to do? Wow, I'm a complete moron. My analytics are fucking dreadful. I'm firing myself, Hal. No, please don't pay me $100,000 a year. I don't deserve it. What's he gonna fucking do? Here's a big question to Yankee fans. Okay, how would you feel about a hypothetical sell-off? Yankees tanking for 3 to 4 years and resetting everything. The Yankees will never tank, for one. But choosing a direction is not a bad thing. But the Yankees are never going to tank, so it's not even worth debating, you know. But in fairness, they can make better decisions. I think you can safely say that. Like, for instance, in 2023, after we were basically no chance of making the playoffs, why did they not use Peraza more? Why didn't they see what they had in their prospects in AAA? You know, they didn't do it. They were using the Franchi Corderos and and the Jake Bowers and these bad players, and they kept making excuses for them. And instead of looking at what they had in their system, like Peraza, for instance, they didn't do it. And now they're no wiser. So that's what I'm saying about decisions. Like, they can make better decisions. Yeah, well, they don't know how to develop players. And that's exactly what I was really hoping that they would do. After losing Soda, I was really hoping that they would be honest with themselves and go, so you know what? We're not doing a great job of development. We're not doing a great job of when these guys are reaching the majors to get the most out of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire someone who's really good at, coaching the fundamentals. Put him beside Aaron Boone. Something like that. Like a Rob Thompson, for instance, was brilliant, by the way, beside Joe Girardi. Like, teaching discipline, all this stuff. But the Yankees don't want to do that anymore because everyone has to be kind and they all have to eat ice cream and have barbecues. Cool. But what about being a better run organization? No, we can't have that because it's not kind enough to our players. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're like, I was hoping they would do something like that, but they didn't do anything. They kept everything absolutely in place, despite the mess of last year World Series. So it's frustrating, man. They just don't take that next step to be a better organization. Exactly. But didn't they pass on? Didn't they pass on Gunnar Henderson for Anthony Volpe? I'm not convinced that the Yankees are a particularly smart organization. I hate to be negative, but I feel Dominguez is next one to fill. God, I hope not, man. I hope not. I don't think so. But they haven't put him in the best position to succeed either. It's very early. We still don't know how the games will break, but right now it doesn't look good. No, it doesn't, man. It really doesn't look good. Is there any further updates regarding this situation? Are there any other updates regarding this disaster? Let's have a look and see. Any news yet regarding Cole? I don't think so. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, he's still awaiting a second opinion. So we will find out in the next day or two, and no doubt I will have another stream when the news is out. But right now, there's not much to be happy about. I think, and to be fair, I think the Yankees have masterminded their own downfall by not mitigating risks, not planning ahead, not having a better medical staff, not making better decisions with your prospects, not developing your prospects better, not allocating resources better, not attacking free agency enough, not having an owner that will do whatever it takes to win. By the way, they have that in Queens. We don't have that in New York, in the Bronx. They just there's something wrong, and we definitely need more voices like myself to be loud enough for them to hear it, because there is something wrong. They should never be in this position. The New York Yankees, with a $300 million payroll in March, should not be looking at a barren roster due to injuries and be completely out of money. There's something wrong. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I think I've broken down enough over the last 2.5 hours to give you guys something to think about, because there is definitely something ain't right. There's something not right. Something stinks, and the math ain't mathing. Frank says, I don't know what Dominguez's hang up with playing left field is. Well, some people just struggle with it because the way the ball moves differently, because he's a center fielder by trade. But he is making an ass out of it in left field. There's no question about it. We have to hope that he turns it around. Doran might be onto something with the babying, but pitchers throw harder now. Back in the day, no one threw 100-mile-an-hour that often. Now it's fairly regular. I don't think most arms aren't capable of delivering that every single year. Tommy John surgery is far too routine now. Times have changed. But I have really appreciated talking to you guys. I hope I've given you guys something to think about. And we have to see how things plan out. But I've really appreciated there's been almost 140 people consistently checking in, consistently watching on both platforms. I certainly do appreciate that. You're spending your Saturday watching this guy ran away, but I do genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you guys could do me a solid and hit that like button if you haven't done so, hop on over. If you're on X, hop on over to YouTube, hit that like button, comment, and I'll be happy to interact afterwards. But I do really appreciate that you guys have spent the last almost 3 hours with me. So salute to you guys. And I hope, despite the news, that we have a positive weekend and you enjoy this coming spring training game. And we'll see how our kids do. I do genuinely like our kids. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of prospects to be excited about. Are they as good as the Yankees say they are? I'm not sure about that. But I'm hoping they are, because there's some in 2026 that look genuinely exciting. But I think the way that they've handled the Stanton injury is a disgrace, and the Cole stuff just hurts. That's just sad. Hopefully, prayers up to Gerrit Cole, because he is our ace, he is our king. And I hope that he is going to be okay and it's not surgery. But whatever the news is, you will get the update from ourselves on the Pinstripe Chronicles. So I really do hope that you guys could hit the sub button if you're watching and you haven't done so. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. It really does a world of good for our channel, because I think I think you guys could all agree, there needs to be more voices like this that can hold their feet to the fire, the Yankee organization that can cut the nonsense out and just give you facts. And that's what I try and deliver to you on a Saturday. salute to you guys. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your spring training game with the Yankee game coming up. And we'll catch you on the next stream. Salute.